Lisa Copeland, and I want to invite you to my show, The Big Sell. Are you ready to stop being a small player in a big world? Are you ready to decommoditize your business? Are you ready to stand aside from the competition? Join me every week on The Big Sell. I'm especially excited because I've got two of the meanest guys I know on the show.
Meanest?
Hank and Steve from 2 Market Media. Hi, guys.
Hey, Lisa.
What do you mean meanest? I don't like that.
I know, and that's Steve right there. So Steve is who I primarily work with when it comes to the book proposals and the big ideas. And Hank, Hank I just follow on Twitter day and night. But I want you guys to tell everybody out there, tell us about 2 Market Media.
Go ahead,
You
Hank.
found me. I didn't find you. So a lot of people may or may not know who you are. But I guarantee you, they know who your clients are.
Go ahead, Steve. Fill them in, Steve.
We work with brands. We take individuals and companies and help them create something larger for themselves, and we help them deliver it at the highest level and then help them sell their shit. So it's everything from creating your brand, creating the stuff that supports the brand, and then selling the shit out of the stuff that we created around your brand.
God, I promised everybody that this would be raw, real, and relevant. And you've started us off right, Steve.
I think that's understandable now.
Yes, it's totally understandable. So what kind of shit do you create for us to go sell?
Well, that depends on the person. Everybody's a little bit different. We customize based on what the needs are. So everybody needs to obviously support their brand with materials. It starts with a website, one sheet, social media platforms, all of the materials you need to support that so that it differentiates you and shows who you are. Then you got to support it with content. Content is free stuff that you give away, as we've done with you. Making Facebook Lives, podcasts. It's a combination of showing credibility as well as showing who you are and what makes you unique and different. Sharing your opinions, something Hank teaches a lot of people and does very well for himself. So content is about really ramping up your exposure through sharing lots of information from yourself. That's both informational and entertaining. That's what people forget that. At the end of the day, people buy from people they like. People buy from people that they want information from, and you need to learn how to connect to your audience. I don't care if you're a car dealer. I don't care if you're a lawyer, a doctor. We help everybody that's trying to sell something. How do you share and connect to your audience in a way that makes people want more? And then we sell products, right? So based on who you are, your products could be your traditional services. So if we're helping a car dealer like Paragon or Glenn Lundy, who, those folks we've helped quite a bit.
Two of the biggest guys in the industry I have to shout out. Brian's the #1 Honda dealer in the country, and Glenn Lundy's the #2 used car dealer in the country in a town of 9,000 people. That dude sells 1,000 cars a month. He's a legend. They're both legends.
And what people have found, what we found with working with people, is it doesn't matter if you're selling cars or if you're a plastic surgeon. At the end of the day, you're either selling your professional services or your products, or you're selling something specific for the media, like Grant Cardone. When we met, most people know who Grant is now. When we met Grant, Hank, how many years ago? 6 years, 7 years ago now?
Yeah, 7 or 8.
At the time, he wasn't living in Miami. He was in LA trying to avoid the state tax. And before he left, we met him in the hills, right? In Lionel Richie's old home. And he had 2 employees at the time, Sherry and Jared. And what Grant does better than anybody is when he's on a mission and he knows what he wants, he delivers it. And we help build that brand from scratch. So, but the thing everybody has in common at the end of the day is they have a brand. They need to expose their brand. They have to create great content and connect to their audience. And then they got to sell shit.
Hank, how would you like to pipe in on that? Because it's pretty hard to get past just sell shit.
Yeah, well, what Steve means, sales, as you know, because you're doing an amazing job at it now, sales is that connection piece. It's putting yourself out there. It's the thing that I deal with most people on is that the first level of selling, which is you actually being aware and open to communicate, which is using social media, which is what star power is what I talk about publicly a lot, is this piece that either people are super attracted to or have a fear over, right? Fear of public speaking is one of the #1 fears in the world for human beings, right? To talk in front of a whole bunch of other people, and getting people used to doing that on social media, on video, getting used to selling yourself That's the first big hurdle to becoming a brand and a salesperson and really leading your business.
And Hank, that's so much what you talk about. I give you such a bad time because you're on Twitter more than I am. And your big hashtag is just press. It's like press record. And that was something I really pushed back on you guys about when we first started working together last year. I was like, what, huh? Be on every single day, record what? They're like, just do it. And I did. And I know a lot of people push back on it. Now I do actually listen to you because it has paid off largely.
And Lisa, why even now looking back particularly, what was the pushback? What were you feeling what didn't feel like the answer, you didn't want to do it? What was that for you?
Yeah, I just felt like, it wasn't that I'm afraid to go out and speak because that's my profession. It's just that I thought, who wants to see me here? Or who wants to see me talk about this or to do that? And so it was kind of a fear, or that everybody would unfriend me on Facebook, or, I would lose followers. And of course, you guys know the story. It's gone completely the other direction. And
you're such a great example, Lisa. Why wouldn't people want to hear from you? You're entertaining. You're super smart. You're one of the most successful people in your industry. And now crossed over, like Grant did, from auto into much bigger, the general
because
sales.
Of you guys.
Yeah. Well, no, because of you. You're amazing. And, you do what we ask people to do, which is share of themselves, to be honest, to be open, to provide free information and really help people. And when you do that, and you're also as entertaining as you are and as likable as you are.
That's only when I'm drinking, though, Steve. I mean, like when we're in a bar in New York and we're drinking, I'm really funny. You told me that.
You're funny both times. Don't worry. Don't kid yourself. But that's the point, right? So is somebody like you, it's shameful for you not to be sharing who you are. Your audience wants to see what you do. They want to know, how did Lisa Copeland create such largesse with herself? How did she cross over? How is she speaking for big companies, not just in the auto industry now? How is she going to have a best-selling book? Why is everybody coming to Lisa? And you sharing that stuff is essential for other people to learn how to do the same.
Speaking of best-selling authors, I see another one of your clients on here, Mr. Bob Berg, right now.
Dr. Berg?
Yes, Mr. Berg. So you have authors like Bob, the Go-Giver, and, Sharon Lecter, who has sold 30 million books, Grant Cardone, who, when you guys, about the time you met him is about the time I met him, and he personally walked into my dealership. I was a nobody and he was a nobody back then. He walked into my dealership trying to sell me training. I didn't buy it because I didn't have the authority to buy it, honestly, at that point. But he and I sat and talked for 3 hours, and I hooked him up with a real estate agent to buy apartments in Austin, Texas. But he certainly was not flying in on his G5. I know that. I think that he was probably in the middle seat on Delta. So just to see how his brand has exploded, it's been unbelievable. And I know that you guys really did for him what you're now doing for me. And that was just getting the one big idea. Like that was, Steve, you and I have gone back and forth about it, right? It's like you can't be everything to everybody. You got to stay in your lane. What is it that your brand stands for? What is it you're selling? And I think so many people try to say, I'll do this, because I did. Oh, I'll talk about this. I'll do that. I'll do this. And now it's like, no, it's the big sell. Stop selling, start mobilizing. End of story. Bigger audience, build a movement. I mean, that's what we talk about. That's what I get hired for. And I think that's what I've been the most grateful about. And I've been talking about it heading up to this show, is that you have made me define my brand. How does somebody out there who, is in sales and wants to up their sales every month, or they want to try to build a personal brand, what's the first thing you have to do if you cannot have a two-market media?
Well, Hank and I have been dealing with this a lot, right? Hank has courses related to this. You have any quick advice, Hank?
For me, the quick answer is, because I'm used to tweeting, the answer is the version of the thing that you're doing that has the most impact. Like, you looking at what you do and talking about how you can say that to people in a way that has the most impact. You want to come up with that cure that you're giving, that advice. That one key piece is brand defining. It's finding out what you actually do, that the thing you're handing to other people. If you can define that and make that into something that's action oriented, that's a brand. Like, it's tough to do without outside coaches helping you, and that's what we help people do. But we do have a course. I have a course that I teach where if you can't afford to work with us one-on-one, finding that is the thing you need to do. You need to sit down and stand for one thing, your how. How do you help people accomplish their goals?
I mean, that guy's changed my life when I had the one thing that I can go talk about. Now, I can do a lot of things, but the one thing, you guys were so brilliant on bringing together everything I've done and kind of put it under one thing. And I think what happens is especially me, because, you know, I do this for businesses. I do this for companies. I help them find I've done all of it for years, but it's so hard sometimes when we're having to look at ourselves. And I think that's where the magic of a 2Market Media comes in, is that you've got this whole team of experts that does a deep brand dive. And then they say, here's what you are. And it's like, it hits you over the head. You're like, oh yeah, I knew that. But it's so
the
hard
thing is
for us
also,
to see
Lisa,
ourselves.
you're also underrating what you also did, which is once you have that, it's being on a mission around it and aggressively sharing that and talking about that and helping people around it. And I think, you know, it is hard to figure out what that thing is, but, you know, Hank talks about this a lot. We tell people you got to pick. You're better off picking something that might evolve than picking nothing. And when you pick something, and it's typically, like Hank said, you want it to be an action, but it's the thing that makes you unique in the marketplace. It's the thing, you know, what you've been doing all your whole life without realizing it is creating big ideas, creating something bigger than just helping people on the tactics on how to sell. Bob Berg, who you talked about earlier, his Go-Giver brand is all around his unique way to wield influence.
Yes.
And he's built an entire business around that and a brand around that. And, you know, that's why he's had so much success. And now we're hoping to try to get him to be as aggressive about that digitally as he's been in the traditional media world, which he will. But that's what Bob's done brilliantly. And when you pick something that is something larger than yourself that you stand for, and then you go on mission, you start sharing that every place, that's when the engine starts to roll.
Hey, another one of your clients just came on. I just saw Miss Joyce Bone, the millionaire mom, anxiety-free selling. Hi, Joyce. Say hi to the boys.
The men. Joyce is another awesome example. I mean, it took her some time to pick because Joyce is so smart and so talented, but Joyce has 1,000 freaking ideas. She literally at first was changing her idea on her focus every day. But now I think anxiety-free selling is a huge brand.
Oh, I think it's absolutely.
The deeper we go into it and we're starting to really build out the content, I think she's going to see huge success over time when she stays on mission. Joyce is just a very busy lady.
Yes, she's a realtor extraordinaire out there. But, you know, I like what you said, Steve, about staying on mission. You know, the one thing I will say about Grant, I can say a lot of things, but the one big thing I'll say about the guy, because I know him, is that he'll outwork anybody. He will outwork anybody. He never, ever quits. He never stops. He never lets. So you don't have to give us any names, but I'm just curious. Have you seen some people that had some huge potential and you guys thought this is like the next Grant Cardone, and then all of a sudden they quit working? They quit trying.
You know what's funny? Most people do something with us, which is, and Hank, we laugh about this all the time, is we help them, they get that first wave of first level success, and then they plateau. And they don't want to put in the same effort. They don't see the immediate next level stuff. So they got the first level of increase. They saw how that helped. And then they're like, why am I still pushing that hard in this direction? Because I don't smell second level. What Grant does better than anybody is he picks, he goes on mission, and he never stops. I have a client we love right now that's just finally moving into second level. His name's Bill Woodich, and I love Bill to death. We did help Bill again. I think he's got huge talent. He's a great speaker. But again, he got used to being at so he got that first level of success. And then he's like, oh, why do I have to do this? Well, yeah, that's why you're starting to plateau. We got him a very big book deal, his first book in the market, fantastic major book deal. He thinks he's made it. He's busy, and he forgets that all the things that got him to that first wave of success, you now got to dig back in, and now he's learning that lesson. But almost everybody had kind of plateaus it for a second, right?
Right.
I mean, it's consistency. What social media rewards, what the algorithms at Facebook and Twitter and all those things, if you're not putting in the daily work, people are going to forget you. Those things are going to plateau and fall off. You have to realize that a big piece of being in business and being known and getting your name out there is that consistency of the commitment to you standing behind the brand that you're picking. And it's tough to do. It's work.
So how much is too much, guys? I mean, how much is it where it's just like, okay, stop it. Now, I mean, Cardone's on every 5 minutes. So I guess if we're going to use him as an example, but give us another real life example besides Grant.
There's tons of them.
Yeah, similar to Grant, though. Particularly with today's algorithms, here's what's changed. There's no such thing as too much. You have to find the calendar and the thing that works for you. If you post constantly to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, it doesn't just show up and it goes away. If those things are getting commented, if there's actual engagement, that's the key. Those posts will come back up in people's feeds. You have to be active. The more active you are, the more rewarded you will get. It's just like going to the gym. It's just like following a diet. It's the same thing. The more you do it, the faster you're going to get better.
Yeah, the lesson is what people don't realize. There's two things here. So there's never too much, and there's never too much free. Everybody's worried if I give away all this stuff for free, nobody's going to want to. That's absolutely the opposite. The more you give away for free, the more they're going to want from you. And it goes back to traditional media, the same lesson we've had to teach people over time. I remember when we had somebody who's super famous that, again, we built like from scratch with Grant, a woman named Mel Robbins. And Mel, we got this primetime radio show on Sirius every day. And she used to say, I think my audience today wants to have a lighter topic. I'm like, that's the craziest thing I ever heard. Your audience today doesn't want high stakes stuff. Today, we're going to talk about flowers and daffodils, and they don't want to hear anything that's going to make them motivated or make them think differently or make them drive emotion. Today, they just want to hear nothing from you. So the people driving in their car or listening to their radio for that 5, 10, or 20 minutes, they're the ones that today they don't want that much. No, the truth is that every time you're on, people want great stuff. That's why breaking news has become the norm in traditional media. Because when you see that breaking news thing, you pay attention. So the more you do, the harder you push, the more people are going to respond, and the more they're going to want more.
But that lends to the fact that you've got to have content to be able to go out there with that, so you've got to be, and I've learned, especially with you guys.
Everybody has content.
I know, but you have to be a student. Like, you have to read, you have to be engaged. You guys have pushed me in my outer linear orbit just on, on content creation and really digging in. And Steve, always to you, I'll text you, call you, hey, I got that. And you're like, it's not big enough. It's not big enough. I mean, but that's what pushes, right? And so
right.
I think that once somebody thinks they've got a big idea, they need to go bigger, most likely. Is that right?
Yeah, but you also got to stay in the weeds at the same time. So the big ideas have to be propelled by granular how-to. Everybody loves to motivate. It's one of the things I know Hank talks a lot about, especially on his social media feeds. Everybody wants to inspire someone. Everybody's inspirational and motivational. But guess what? How many freaking motivational, inspirational people can you listen to? At the end of the day, teach me something. Tell me something. How are you going to help me? I'm willing to pay for stuff if you're going to help me in my life. That's essential. The reason Grant is killing it with his courses and with what he does is because he literally has a school with thousands of videos helping me close, sell, cold call, etc.
Yeah.
People want stuff. They want the details beneath the mission.
Right.
And let's not miss the other piece we're not talking about, which is the reason there's always content is because there's also always the struggle. The hardest piece for a lot of people to realize is people also want to know how you're doing what you're doing. There's the information piece, and then there's the personal piece. Don't forget the personal piece. People do want to know about you, what you're up to, and what you're doing and your personal struggle. That emotional journey is a big piece of this.
Like, for example, today, Hank's having a really bad hair day. And how does he push through on something so, tough to do? I'm going to
send him a Crushing It baseball hat.
Right? I would love that.
Okay, so take us back a little bit. How did you guys form Two Market Media? How did you get in the business of building these celebrity brands?
Hank was at ABC running development, and I brought in a woman named Mel Robbins, who at the time had done zero, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And most people now know Mel is huge and having a tremendous.
And she just released a new book a couple of days ago, I saw.
She has a new show on Audible.
You're right.
Oh, maybe that's it. Okay. I saw it on Audible. You're right.
And we signed her we brought her into ABC. Hank signed her to a contract. And since we had a daily radio show, Hank's like, let's work with her to the radio show as if it's a training ground. And we started working with Mel, and we started to build Mel, and met a few other people along the way. We're like, there's a real business here. People need this kind of help. And that was probably about 6 or 7 years ago now, and rest is history, as they say.
And Steve, prior to that, weren't you in the movie business?
Many years before that. Many years before that.
So you guys have been in the entertainment business, helping build other people's brands. Did you either of you have aspirations of wanting to be out in front, like how you build others?
That's what we're doing for Hank right now. Hank's now, we're selling Hank's methodology, and he's talking about star power and all the things that it took to build.
You've been selling Hank's methodologies and your methodology since you opened Two Market, right?
Differently, though, right now behind a persona as opposed to on behalf of other people. So we're doing both now.
Right. How about you, Steve? When are we going to see your big persona come out?
That will not be happening.
Because you are the driver. You are the one who tells me, go, go, go. I don't want to hear anymore. Stop whining. Goodbye. Just do it. So how do you deal with all these type A personalities? Do you just tell us to shut up and move on, or?
No, we just have honest conversation like we always do. That's why it's a pleasure to talk to Lisa. Honestly, there's only one personality type that we don't get along with. It's the victim. We've moved the victim out of our potential client base. That's the person that's always blaming somebody for something. Everybody else, love alphas, right? We love people that are hungry like you, smart like you, that are like. What's awesome about a client like you is you're a partner. You're busy every day trying to figure out, how do I do something bigger? You're not whining or worrying. You're like, okay, what can I do to have more success? That's awesome.
Well, I want my show on CBS. I have whined about that a couple times.
Yeah, we haven't heard back from them. I'll try them again.
Thank you. But other than that, you have to make stuff happen, right? And I think that there's just so many people out there, and, we see it all over social media, especially in the automotive space. Grant, Gary Vee, they're iconic, right? And some of it is, I think they were first to market. And some of it is, and again, I don't know Gary Vee. I do know Grant. And I know that the guy will outwork anybody.
Yep.
So, and I think that when you become a personality, do you guys agree it's a 24/7 job? Like, you just don't check it at the door?
Right?
It's schedulable. Here's the thing. The reason we're not answering is because I think that's the perception, because social makes it look like you're always on. You're not. It's like any job. You just have to schedule the time for that content and what see, when you're focused on who you are and what you're up to, then you schedule your time. And here's what we tell people. It's not an added job. While you're doing what you're doing, press record. Record what you're up to. You don't have to make a whole separate itinerary to create. You have to make your current itinerary about documentation. If you tell that story that way, it's not added at that hours. It's not added time and effort. It's what you're up to, and it looks like you're 24/7, but you're just working like a normal. So whatever your workforce time, whatever you're working for, your complete workforce, look at a way of putting you and your team out there. That makes you show that entire army. The reason Grant's as big as he is, because he's using Jared. He's using his entire staff as part of this army that propels him. Don't forget that. Yeah. That's what makes him feel 24/7 and omnipresent. It's not just him.
And not only that, Hank, as you know, what Grant does is he's turned on his life. So you don't have to create any more work. Look at what Paragon's done, right? Brian Benstock. He turned on we had him we tweaked it, but he now has shows every day. His internal benefits meeting, features and benefits of a car, is now a show. It's not changing anything. He's literally turning on the things he's already doing. Everybody can do that. Everybody can turn on a piece of their business without creating any extra work for themselves and create content that everybody wants to see, because that's pure transparency. That's pure vulnerability, and it's super real. Who doesn't want to see that? Grant's biggest video ever was when he broke in on one of his guys doing a cold call, and he literally closed the guy in for everybody to see how he does it. That's what people want to see.
Right. So what you're saying is, if somebody out there, they're a Dell computer and they're working on a team and they're selling software and services, if they're a real estate agent, if they're in the automotive business, if they're in the financial services business, not only take advantage of filming what you're doing, but everywhere I've ever worked, I've always had a team. I've had an assistant, I've had a number two, I've had a sales manager. And that's where Grant has parlayed a lot of it, because, Grant's wife does stuff. Jared does stuff. I mean, I'm not sure who else on his team, but those are the two that I see quite a bit. So you're saying take the entire team and press record.
And even if not, by the way, and a lot of people, their team gets work. You're sitting in a car as a real estate agent, you're going to see your next home, right? What a great time to turn on your phone and say, I'm heading over to this beautiful home. Here's what they did wrong. They refused to clean up their yard. Then I get to the home, I show the yard. I'm like, you see what happens? If all they did was spend $1,000 in cleaning up the property outside, this home would sell for twice as much. Take what you're doing and use it to provide information and entertainment for people.
And what social media outlets do you guys recommend to put that out on?
You know,
I know all of them. I mean, there's things like
we
Buffer.
typically tell people to pick their top two. You know,
Okay,
if
so two.
and maybe your top two plus LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is terrific for business people. So if you're providing business information or services, you can repurpose stuff on LinkedIn. Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter are the big three. Typically, we tell people to pick two of them. Hank?
Okay.
Yeah,
So
put it out there and find out where your audience responds. It's not your decision. It's the decision of where your audience finds you and your message and is the most engaged.
And what would you guys say to somebody out there who's looking to build a personal brand? They're like, okay, I really like what these guys are saying, but what's the easiest way to start to find followers? Do you recommend a Facebook show? Do you recommend blowing up Twitter? What would be what would be a step one?
Instagram stories or Facebook, Hank?
Yeah, well, I always go to the very beginning. You can't begin to have people follow you until you stand for something. Until you really know who you are and what your mission is and what you stand for and how you help people, then however you talk about that, those are ancillary things. The show's awesome, and that commitment to consistently creating content is awesome. If you're doing a daily show, great. Grant does one every day at noon. So if you can make commitments like that, that's awesome. But
So does Glenn Lundy, 5 a.m. in the morning. I'm on
yeah.
the show on June 1st. Good Lord.
Yeah, but meanwhile, you see how many people he's got now watching his show every morning?
Yeah, on top of the fact, and I'm sure Glenn's probably on here, he cut his monthly advertising bill as a car dealer by over $100,000 a month. And it's just been phenomenal that in a town of 9,000 people in Paris, Kentucky, that he's selling 1,000 cars a month. And the damn nicest guy, I was telling Steve earlier today, he and I become really good friends. He's a great guy. And, and it's to what you guys say, and it's what I was when I was a car dealer. It isn't what you sell, it's what you stand for. And, and he stands for anti-bullying. He stands for a good, solid place for people to be able to come to work and buy a car. Because if you've got good people working for you, well, then good people are going to come buy cars. And he just tells the story every day on video.
And he shares his real life. He wakes up and he does it. He wakes up with people. And then when he goes to work, he shares his meetings with people. I mean, he hasn't really created that much new stuff other than repurposing the things that are important to him and his daily work life. It's amazing.
And I really think that is the important piece that, I think I'm just now starting to get to. Is that, I don't have to just make up something to go on. It's like, okay, I think you guys told me that one time. You're like, Lisa, when you're closing a deal, just record it. Just let people see how you just put that consulting package together, how you just put that deal together. I'm going to be in Houston tomorrow at a big Lexus store, and I'm putting a deal together. And do not think we're not going to hit record on it. Yeah, because, it's going to be fun and it's going to be exciting. But why would I have to go create anything new for tomorrow other than my conversation when I hand her the pen and the contract?
Correct.
Right? I mean, because doesn't everybody want to know how you got to the contract? How did you get to the point to get him to sign and things like
100%.
that?
Yep.
Okay, so I've got another question for you. Somebody asked me, they said, who has star power? And is it about being a star or is it about being a brand? First time ever, I've heard you guys quiet.
I'm being nice. I thought Hank was, going to answer the question about star power.
We have different answers sometimes. Star power today has changed. It used to just be the power of your personality. But what Steve and I do that's different from managers and agents now is we work with people, and personality is 50%. Maybe it's even larger. Maybe it waxes and wanes. But information is king. Making an impact, helping people, being of service, and showing how your product, your insights, your advice help people. That your energy, your passion for helping is, to me, the heart of star power. And that and the yin and the yang of your personality with your passion for your advice, that's star power.
If you're on mission, you're going to have passion, right?
Right.
If you're on mission, you're going to have passion. If you have passion, people are going to want to hear you. If you have something to say within the expertise that you have and you're helping me, that's all you need. That's star power.
Okay, what is the strangest product or strangest thing that somebody came to you, or that, like, when you guys came to me, like, what is the strangest thing that you guys have ever promoted, whether it was a product or a brand? You don't have to give us names, but like somebody who's just like totally off left field, and just to give people ideas out there. Because I heard you say plastic surgeon, and I thought, well, if you're worth your weight at all as a plastic surgeon, you shouldn't need to market media. I'm sorry.
I disagree with you.
Girls like to talk.
That doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
Okay, I'm gonna be in trouble now. But you know, like if you're
No, think about it. A plastic surgeon is you do the plastic. Great. There's rich ladies that they're doing jobs for, that they're doing rich things. There's also people coming in that have debilitating facial features. They fix cleft palates. They fix people's self-esteem. Their whole life. The stories I've seen from the doctors we've talked to is they have life-changing procedures, things that make people go from I can't leave my house because people make fun of my looks to now they become a full human
exposure. Because
we have a great plastic surgeon client. Yeah, we have a great plastic surgeon client, Dr. Nicholas Nikolov. He's a huge, big shot in Beverly Hills. He's got a celebrity client base that he can't talk about because they're so huge. How is he going to get the word out to people that there's new stuff happening? He's just telling us about this new procedure where liposuction is no longer necessary. A tiny little slit in the belly, and then they laser that crap. It's crazy. And sharing that information with people is super valuable. Don't you want to know, Lisa, about non-surgical things that nobody can see on you so that you continue to look 30 like you do?
Steve, what would you think?
And how would you know about
carbs
that?
Right
how
now,
would you know about that if Dr. Nikolov did not share that information on his social media channels?
Well, I think that you need to share that with all of your female clients. You might be able to get us more money.
By the way, I'm going to have Dr. Nick Nikolov on your show, and then you can talk to him about his super discounts.
I would love to talk to Dr. Nick, and then be on some kind of referral program with him where we can take the facelift.
By the way, he would do that in a second. He's awesome.
To Beverly Hills. Okay, so what is some of the weirdest stuff? Like just that people just wouldn't think about.
A vibrating necklace. It looks
do tell.
It looks like a necklace, but it's vibrating all the time, and you can use it in various places on your body. The female condom. Lots of things.
Of course, you're going here.
The drug and alcohol attorney who wants to sell his getting people out of jail information. Tons of people have lots of different things. The internet millionaire maker. Everybody has something, it's no different than how the real world works, right? Everybody has a business. Everybody has something to sell. And if you have something unique and you're on mission, you have a chance to increase that based on, you sharing your information with people.
Tell us about Dr. Ish. He's somebody I talked to before I signed on with you guys. I just loved him. And he had a really unique story. Tell us about him.
I don't remember a story. What was the story?
He was on Good Morning America, and
yes. Look, Dr. Ish got cast for this show after a lot of we pushed him hard. We think he's super talented. He's one of the few doctors that's funny and smart and intelligent.
Celebrity Boot Camp, everybody, if you're wondering.
Marriage Boot Camp on the WE Network.
Yeah.
He's done like 80 episodes now, and he's become a pretty big star. His new book is coming out. He's all excited. He's a terrific guy. But Dr. Ish, funny story, I remember, he was telling us about literally being attacked by the B-level celebrities on set, and he was about to be fired. This was like his second episode, and Hank and I had to fly out there and give him the riot act and explain to him what his job was as talent. And he literally flipped it, give him a lot of credit. He took the coaching. He didn't get defensive. He said, I got it. And he turned it all around. And that's 78 episodes later.
Yeah. And that's what he told me. He said, when he and I were talking, when I was trying to decide what I was going to do. And he said, Lisa, the thing you have to do is number one, you got to listen to these guys, and do not get offended. He said, but when I was just a bit player going on and off of, Good Morning America, or I think it was the Today Show, actually. The Today Show, I get on about once a month and this, that, and the other. And he said the producer at the Today Show said, look, if you're serious, you want a show, you want to get going, you need to get with these guys at 2 Market Media. So I thought that was a pretty big endorsement. I don't know why I haven't been back on Mornings with Maria. It's been a month. I'm just saying I'm going to start acting like Dr. Ish.
You haven't been back in New York, just for the record.
I'll go back to New York. You never ever have to talk me into that one. I'll always come visit you guys. Okay, so here's another question that just came in, and it said, define a big idea. Cricket.
What's it to you?
Well, what is a big idea? I mean, I think a big idea is what drives everything, but I think that you have to have one big idea that you stand behind. Do you agree with me, or am I wrong?
Yeah, a big idea to me for what we do is a hook, which is gets people attention, which is normally this idea of for the media, you need something that is maybe counterintuitive, has something that's interesting that catches your attention. I mean, how the media works today, a big idea, you can't sell a big idea unless it immediately grabs your attention right out of the gate. So if it's not something that's interesting or pushes an emotional button in you, it might be a great idea, but it's not big enough to garner enough attention and momentum to actually get rolling. A big idea is sticky, is pointy, is like something that really, once you hear it or something, actually creates a paradigm shift in people. That's the biggest types of ideas, just like the big sell is, it's a paradigm shift. Once you hear it, it's this idea, you're like, I'm curious to know more. And then once you learn more, it changes how you forever see that thing. That's a big idea.
I mean, that was so big to me when Steve came up with, and we worked on it together, but really I've got to say he started the whole thing, but it was like, stop selling and start mobilizing, because everyone's got a sales course now. But the way that today's business does business, nobody wants to be sold anymore. They want to be part of something bigger, and companies don't know how to do that. So they're trying to do business as usual with a whole new consumer, right? With a whole new thought process with millennials. And boy, talk about sticky. Anybody I've presented it to, I mean, I get the deal. And
Yep.
And it's basically what I've been doing my entire career, but it takes somebody to box that, right? To hone it, because I think a big idea and everything needs to be like the size of a tweet, right? You've got to be able to tweet it, or it's not you don't have a deal. Do you agree?
Yep, correct. Clear and concise. That's the sale.
Yeah, because people talk in sound bites nowadays, and so talk to us about videos. If someone's going to make videos, how long should they be?
So I hate Facebook Live for the reason that it's just a bad training ground for people. People are so used to pressing record on Facebook Live and talking for 20 minutes and not really covering ground or making a point. Make a minute 30 video and actually make a point and get good at doing that. That's media training. Lead with your opinion. Actually give me the advice. Tell me exactly what to do right out of the gate. That's a great video.
You've seen our video rules, Lisa.
I know your video rules, but everybody who's watching this right now, the hundreds and thousands of people that will see it.
You can make a great video in 60 seconds.
And it has to be like 50 seconds to be on Instagram. It has to be under a minute for Insta.
Yep.
So it really does teach you to be concise.
Yep. As does Twitter, right? You only have X characters. What is it?
Exactly. Although I guess they raised it ever since Trump came into office. It was 140. I think it's about 220 now, 240. Okay, so Hank, tell everybody out there and I will post it, well, first of all, I will post how they can get in contact with you guys, but how could somebody start right now by buying your course? Tell us about your course.
Yeah, the course that we started when I made a course, just like anybody that has to make a course. I mean, what's interesting about me and what 2 Market's up to is I'm an entrepreneur, and I have to get known and get people to understand this is what I teach and figure out how to teach them. And I help people do that. Whatever your core business is, we teach you how to get attention. We teach you how to monetize. We teach you how to create coursework, a book, whatever version of your methodology and how to sell it. And so we have that for sale. I'm selling that as online coursework to teach you how to make online coursework. I'm in the middle of growing my personal brand. I have a course that teaches you how to grow your personal brand. I've done it for hundreds of experts and TV personalities for many years, and now we are doing it with me as an example of the exact type of work we've done for the Mel Robbinses, the Grant Cardones, and countless other experts and TV personalities we work with.
So what is it that flipped the switch for you? Why did you just wake up one day and say, hey, I'm going to do this for myself?
Because it really became the point where it just got to that point where people are like, oh, if you make people famous, why aren't you doing it for yourself? And I'm like, okay, it really is a formula. Like, I'm reticent talent, like many entrepreneurs. I'm not craving the spotlight. Like, I was a TV producer. I was at Oxygen. I mean, the biggest gains I made as a TV producer was the day my boss, Ronnie Selig, put me on air, and I was on air on a live show on Oxygen every single day for 2 years. And that journey of becoming better on air made me better at everything. made me a better business person, made me a better producer. And so the heart of what we teach at 2 Market Media and the Star Power University course is this idea of this media training clarifies your brand, clarifies your mission. It makes you a better salesperson and business person. It will make you better, make you more money. And I decided to say, if I'm doing that for other people, I'm just going to do it for myself. So that's the journey I'm on now.
Plus,
and
Grant
you had a
Cardone,
very successful run at 10X, at Grant Cardone's 10X. I know that. You spoke, I think, once or twice.
Yeah. So when Grant started the first one, he's like, and you're going to have something for sale. So we immediately jumped on and we're like, okay, that was the kickstart we needed to say, let's create our own personal brand. And this is how we're going to 10X. The first 10X was going to be the jump start to that.
And Steve, how come you like to be the one behind the scenes? Because I mean, you are definitely the big idea visionary. I mean, I have not met a human who can come up with something faster than me in my entire life, and I have met my match.
well, look how pretty Hank is. Who wouldn't want Hank's face all over the imagery of 2 Market Media? Except for the hair day, you know?
I have a hat for that. It is not going to be a 10X hat. It's going to be Crushing It, which P.S. I own, not Gary V. Just saying.
Great partnership is when you know your role, and you know I want to keep my ugly face behind the doors.
No, but you really are. I mean, you absolutely. I mean, I've never seen a human who can come. So like, we will talk about something, and you'll call me back 10 minutes. I got it. I'm sending you an email. It's going. Let's go. I'm like, whoa, like, and I move light speed, and you leave me in the dirt.
Well, you're very nice. You're just.
Well, I've never really met a human that brain moves faster on thinking about something than I do. So, which is why you and I tend to ping pong back and forth sometimes, because you're already 10 feet ahead, and I'm just trying to keep up, but I'm still thinking I'm smart, you know.
Stop it. That's ridiculous.
No, it's a good thing. Okay, so I want to be able to post out there. Hank, how can they get the Star Power course?
So as we teach people is what's your Google ability? You can just Google Hank Norman, and if you just go to hanknorman.com, you'll find my course. Like if you can't type your name and find the front page is all you need 2 Market Media. You need to take my course. Like if you're not Googleable. I share the
front page with the over 50 dating coach. Just saying.
Gotta create more content. Lisa Copeland needs to dominate. You need the front page of Google. Has to be yours.
I only own about half of it. And when I was speaking at Google last year, I knew they were all Googling me. And I'm like, oh, and P.S., I am not the over 50 dating coach. In case anybody out there's wondering, that's not me.
We'll fix that. We got to create more content.
On that?
We got to get you out there. Yep. You got to be in more places, more links, more
links.
I got a conference call, Lisa.
I know you do. Okay, you guys, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody out there for watching. I'm going to put up their information because some of you may not want to Google Hank Norman. Anyways, thank you, Steve Carlis, Hank Norman, 2 Market Media, and to all of you big sellers out there. Just keep doing what you're doing. Sell big. And I'll see you next week at 4:30, 5:30 Eastern Standard Time. Bye-bye, y'all.
Later.
Bye.